Hey everybody, it's James at geometriccharts.com. It is October 24th, about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we got the daily chart of Bitcoin, BTC, USD on the Bitfinex exchange. So first of all, the video is not investment advice. Second of all, I talked about in my last video the psychological torture aspects of trading, and that's exactly where we are in Bitcoin. And we're at that churning event for anyone that's been following me for a while that I talked about long ago, that price was going to become more muted, more flat, and lo and behold, here we are, right? So we have this line. Let me just make it a different color. Let's just make it, I don't know, pink for right now, because I'm going to delete it soon. We have the downtrend line clearly established in price, right? So sellers in complete control of the market. Now we have turned into this orange line, which is going horizontal, showing horizontal price movement. Prices become more muted. Everything's becoming condensed. We're building a nice big energy coil. This energy coil is going to lead to a powerful move in the near future. That powerful move is either going to thrust us into a bull market, or it is going to thrust Bitcoin down to levels that nobody is anticipating right now. And I honestly think that a coil this big, of this magnitude, could lead to a move that could easily push us sub 4,000, probably sub 3,000. This could be a very, very big move forming here in the market if this thing gets unleashed the way that I think it's more than likely going to end. So right now we have a horizontal trend. We had an uptrend line possibility, which is the blue line. That turned into resistance. So the blue line is really more of a red line, showing that as price pops, it's being dominated by sellers, even though the trend appears to be up, even though we have higher lows forming in the market. We maybe have a higher high, but at the end of the day, sellers clearly dominate the market. Okay, it's shown right on the chart that sellers were in control, and they have been in control, and they're staying in control, and it's going to take a dramatic change in this market to change that. So I know there's a lot of people hyping up the market, right? And they definitely were. We had mainstream media. We had some of our favorite people hyping it up here. The pop happened, but guess why? Guess why they were hyping it up? Because they were luring traders, retail traders, okay, what they consider dumb money in the industry, and I'm not trying to knock anybody, but guppies are referred to as retail traders, are referred to as dumb money, and what they do consistently, time and time again, is lure these traders to the slaughter, and it will happen until the end of time, because that is human nature. People have been sold on a story in this market of Lamborghini dreams, and everything else. Mansions all over the world, guaranteed money, sell everything you have, blah, blah, blah. The same thing over and over and over again. It's the same pig. They keep putting different lipstick on it. And everyone's being sucked into the story because they want to believe. And people naturally want to believe things like that. Like, why would you not? People turn on their TV. They don't expect to be deceived. They don't expect to be conned. But that's all that damn TV is. It's just a mechanism of deception for big money. And they're going to continue to do so as price pops around. And they're just going to lead these traders to this unfortunate demise of big sell-offs in this market. And I talked about, as this pop occurred, that volume needed to also stay with it as well too, and it did not. Within 24 hours, this volume disappeared from the market as we skyrocketed to 7.5 billion all the way down to 3.5 billion. So or fell from the sky, I should say, not skyrocketed. Sorry, that was my son closing the door back there. He's running around like he's 3 years old. But anyways, the point is we made this massive move up after our friends, right, screamed like the day prior that this was your opportunity, or a couple days prior, this is your opportunity. Get in, get in, get in. Bitcoin's going to make a big move. Well, they were right, and it did, but it suckered a lot of traders in. Now, at the end of the day, I don't think Bitcoin's done quite yet. I think Bitcoin possibly has another move up. And I said if it did not break below 6,200, I definitely believe there's another wave up in Bitcoin. I don't think it's going to be a big move, right? Depending on what happens. But at the end of the day, I want to be as cautious as possible, and I need to express that caution to everyone who follows me as well. It's not investment advice, but you better have an investment strategy, and you better be willing to exit this market if things head south. Because based on this coil, and this is the daily chart, but based on this coil right here, this is going to lead to a powerful move. So while I still think there's room to move up, I do not have faith that this move ultimately is going to end up in the direction that everyone's anticipating. And I believe that a majority of this market, right, even though sentiment changes day to day, a majority of this market, especially with the crap I see reiterated on mainstream media, across the internet, social media, etc., a lot of people are expecting, pie in the sky, guaranteed riches, and this market is guaranteed, to rise to a level that nobody can even see on the chart right now. So that keeps me cautious in this market. That keeps me emotionally reserved in this market. I did change my tone the other day. I talked about this pop happening, right? I could see the pressure occurring. I could see people getting very bearish on a short-term time frame. And on my other chart that I have much more lines on, things looked like it was ready to pop. It did. I said, okay, this could possibly be it, right? And I started to change my tone. And I said, now we just need to see if volume stays. It did not, right? So the traps keep being laid. The same story over and over and over and over and over again. Everyone's getting worn out, okay? And it's going to beat traders down emotionally, financially, and a lot of people are just going to end up leaving. Allowing, if this market is going to stay around forever or, whenever, but it's going to allow complete domination and control over this market, allowing the banking cartels to scoop up and dominate a market that could possibly rival fiat or even replace fiat. Whether it's Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if this is going to survive, and it's going to survive around the 6,000 area, it's going to be chewed up until there are very few retail traders in. And a lot of people thought when I talked about the diminishing humps or mounds, that as I talked about, I think I called them humps, that a lot of people just didn't believe it at the time. And lo and behold, here we are, being muted and compressed down to nothing. Or, down to nothing, as I mean, like if 6,000 was a zero line, we're basically marginally above that zero line. And we're just hanging on for dear life. And every pop-up is immediately sold into. So that's what I mean by that muted move. So at the end of the day, I still think there's a room for further upside. If we get that upside, Bitcoin needs to break above 8,000 or so to bust up higher and to change the trend of this market. If it does not, and it cannot do it with sustained volume and a big change in volume as well, showing that people are starting to re-enter the market and the market is ready to make its move, then I definitely think the market is heading down and I'm going to remain in my bear camp. So on the bigger picture, I am more of a bear than I am a bull. On the short-term picture, meaning like over the next week or 2 weeks, I still have some bullish sentiment in me to think that there's one more leg up in this market, maybe two. And if that breaks through that 8,000 zone, like that 7,800, 8,000 zone, that'll change my mind. That'll start to warp my bigger picture, which is obviously bearish in this market. If not, and we get a little pop up and not much happens and we continue this move, I still believe this Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market has further downside. Now, the positive about that further downside is that this market, if this happens and we have this unraveling to the downside, that a lot of people I do not think that can even really fathom the bloodbath that could occur in this market. And what I mean by that is that Bitcoin could drop and the alts could become absolutely smashed, where a lot of these alts, I think there's over like 1,500 of them, maybe a little less now. I don't even know. It's somewhere crazy like that. A lot of those are going to disappear. I mean, just be completely obliterated into nothing. The same way everyone looked at Ethereum as it was getting to 1,000, 1,200, freaking out. That's it. It's going to replace Bitcoin. It's going to be over like, whatever the heck it was, 10,000, 20,000, etc. And it did not make it there. Okay. Ethereum's all the way down to 200 at the moment. Sorry for the knocking. That's my 3-year-old. But it got smashed. And a lot of these alts got absolutely smashed. Litecoin, EOS, like a lot of these, Neo, a lot of these coins got smashed during just these small moves down. So what we have here is that if the entire market is going to get smashed yet once again, is the opportunity to smash these alts out, consolidate power, and then move the market forward. So that is also the reasoning behind my bearish sentiment on the longer term picture, is I do feel the hammer needs to come down and these smaller coins need to be completely obliterated to allow the cartel to come in, assume complete domination over the market, and then to allow it to rise. Because I guarantee you, and I said it in the last video, I guarantee you if Bitcoin is going to stay around, or any of these alts are going to stay around and potentially rival fiat in the future, the cartel has to have control over it. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. They will completely dominate the market. I saw a headline that JP Morgan did 99.5% success rate from their trading desk between, I think it was like 2012 and 2017. That is almost near like a statistical impossibility. But it is possible for the cartel because they control the market from top to bottom. And that's the way this market is. That's the way it was when the Forex market seemed to be dominated, when I think it's like G7, they wanted to turn, I think it was during the formation of G7, they wanted to turn the euro around. And they recruited people like Soros, that oversee sovereign wealth funds. I wish I could remember the book. I think it's like Wild West or anything. Regardless of what it was, they were recruited and they were used to move the fiat markets accordingly to what these countries needed to be done. So it's just the nature of the beast. The markets are managed at the end of the day. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. The stock market has the PPT to rescue them. The gold commodities markets have the banks. You have oil with OPEC that completely dominate these markets, control the markets to control the chaos that happens. But the chaos that they create, that they allow to happen, leads to bigger opportunities for them, right? Look at the record-breaking profits these banks have. What do you think it comes from? It doesn't come from the everyday people that walk through the door in those banks. It comes from their trading. They're 99% plus success rates. How the hell do you think that's possible? So, I don't mean to diverge and go off on a tangent, but this market, the reasoning on why I talk about this muted transition, this normalization, is that domination effect. And very few people, I guarantee you no one on social media, and I guarantee you none of these experts are going to even talk about this, but it's going to be dominated. And whether it's a bloodbath or whether it is another 3 to 6 months horizontally, I don't know. All I see is a big coil forming. And if this thing unravels and it starts busting through 6,200 and it starts busting through 6,000, we could have an extreme bloodbath that's going to lead to the annihilation and complete Armageddon in these altcoins. And it's going to allow the consolidation of power and that opportunity in the future. So it's a possibility. That's why I remain bearish in the end of things. Clearly, what was the uptrend line is being used as resistance, showing weakness yet once again. So anyways, that's it. I don't mean to make it a long video, 15 minutes in, a lot crazier than I wanted it to be, but I would definitely use caution in this market and prepare for the worst on the longer term, but on the short term, I think there's a possibility of some further upside. At least I'm poised to take advantage of it along with my subs, but it's going to be a tough market, a very tough market, and I think that's what we see here. We see continuous grinding horizontally. I show you the 4 hour. It's just nothing but horizontal price movement. So it is what it is. It's going to continue to be this way to grind people out. When the pops occur, they will happen when no one's expecting it, and they'll more than likely be dumped into as hard as possible. So anyways, that's it. I'll talk to everybody on Friday. Hope everybody has a great day, great night, depending on where you are in the world. If you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow. I thank everybody for their time. I thank everybody for their support. I should probably stop talking about the cartel as much in the mainstream media, because I imagine they will delete my channel or at least flag me or whatever they need to do to remove me. But again, I've been doing this for 10 years or over 10 years now, and if you stay in trading long enough and you just watch and just observe the way the mainstream media and these moves are orchestrated, and even in the stock market, for example, and you just witness and you look and you go back through like manipulation of commodities and see how many banking articles you see, you know, and it's just the nature of the beast. There's no changing it. It will never be changed. The financial domination is always going to be there. But I don't, you know, I'm sure I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but there's plenty of proof out there, and it's just the nature of this beast. And I do think at the end of the day, a large majority of these alts have to be destroyed. They have to be zeroed out and wiped off the face of the planet as if they never existed. So anyways, I'll have that video on Friday. I thank everybody again for your time and support. I hope you have a great day, great night.